you sail with me out on the rolling sea? We'll find some place to go, maybe down to Barbados. It's an island off somewhere in the middle of nowhere, sailing to freedom, you and me.
Pig's head, anyone? Or would you like chicken's feet? How good's that? Pig's cheek, supposed to be really, really good. I missed out on it in Portugal. But, all right. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. Chop, chop, chop. Chop, chop, chop. It's got to be chopped, good people. Can't fit it in one go now. Come on. How do you like your pig's head, people? I like it bony, with the cheeks nice and tender. I might chew on a couple of molars too. You know, like sweets. Not too sweet, good people, but nature's original never-ending gobstopper. Last time I was here, it was covered in pig's head. I was going to get a left-hand side and a right-hand side and do a Mad Max and sort of stick it on my head. I'd have to wait for it to cool down and then I'd eat it. But not so much luck today. I might have to do that another time. I told you did I tell you the time I went to a restaurant and I went and got chicken's legs on the menu? Well, chicken's leg is really that bit. You know the drumstick that we're used to? Well, they don't give you that. So when it's chicken legs, it's actually chicken's feet and maybe ankles. So bear that in mind when you get chicken legs in Vietnam, people. I don't know where all the choicest bits of the chicken go, like the breasts and the thighs and stuff. I've never seen it sold. It's always the mangy, small bits, grizzly and stuff. I don't know. Maybe they sell it to China. Well, Vietnam is a poor country. Now there's a guy called Quan bragging. Lots of signs bragging in Vietnam, good people. I should ask him to get the eyeballs next time. Mind you, it's like eating a golf ball. It's a feast, people. Don't order this on your first date. Remember the mud crab thing? Don't order mud crab or pig's head or monkey brains on your first date. Not a good idea. Okay, all of this was $4 US, so I don't know what that is, but there's sort of some salad. Oh yeah, oh this is kimchi. This is really, really good. I'd like to have some eye. I mean, look at that. This is going to take me an hour to eat. This is the best feast ever. Maybe I should have this on a first date. See if the girl is worthy, you know, that sort of stuff. Now the best part, apparently, wow, look at all of this. This is a feast. Look at all of that. That's just full of good stuff. Look at that. Just flaking. Oh. So good. How do you like your pig's head, people? Oh, so good. I don't even know what part that is. I have to get my tongue in there, people. Get your mind out of the gutter. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, hurry up, Plucky. So, I can go down to the butcher and get my own pig's head. Look at that nugget. Oh, that's the eye. Very fatty. Look at that. Oh. Melt in your mouth. That's it, people. Ta-da! When are you going to go eat your pig's head? I'm just sucking on a pig's tusk at the moment, people. Maybe I can talk to my dentist. Get him to stick it in. Nothing but quality.
Hi Tech Corner fans, welcome back. So today in this episode we'll be looking at one of our core components of the Elcano challenge. Our electrical motors, how we mount them into the hull together with our Brunton Sigma drive and the feathering propellers. It's one of our core technologies for regeneration of power, and we worked really hard on it for more than 6 months, evaluating all the different options that we could do. And first of all, let me give you a big shout out to Sigi and also his father on helping us with their knowledge, because otherwise this would have been an impossible task for Plucky and myself. We have a lot of expert teams in Elcano, and with their help and also the extensive usage of AI for calculations, we're able to put these systems together. Funnily enough, this morning while I was preparing for this video, our friends of Dallas also dropped a video in regards to how they use AI and in regards to their systems for their engines. And you will see they end up being very similar, because they also use Bruntons, and yes, Elcano will be doing keel cooling as well. So I guess we just came to the same conclusions. Let's dive in. Some suppliers of motors and other stuff deliver you the CAD files, but they're not all willing to do that. So in our case, for the engine or the motor, we didn't have the CAD files, which meant that I needed to make them myself from a 2D drawing. And you see me doing that here. So that was a mock-up that you just saw. But we basically start from the manual of the motor. We start with a rough drawing of their measurements in a 2D version, and I'll show you a little bit later on how to do that. And you kind of draw around it. You just copy it over like you did in school with a paper and a pencil, and you start assigning the dimensions again. So we're kind of making a model of the engine here. It's not that important that's really correct on the millimeter, because there's always some leeway in fabricating and creating the mounts of the engines in the hull. So you need to do it in the spot itself. So it's not that important that this model is 100% perfect in dimensions. So this is the body of the engine, and you see me now putting in the electrical box in the end, and also putting some there's piping for the cooling, which you see going in here, and there's also the connections for the wires for the engine. And in that way we have reasonably correct dimensions up until a millimeter, let's say, of the entire engine. And we can use that now as a template to go further and create a mount. Now initially I made this mount, which was the intention to put it fairly flat on the hull at the bottom, but you will see there's some issues with it. First of all, there's no accessing the electrical box in the end after it's mounted into the boat. And you will also see there's some issues with the cables coming out in the wrong place. So me and Plucky decided to actually work with the standard Odyssey engine mounts. So these are the mounts that they are using for the diesel engines. They're slanted so that it's in line with the shaft. And this is for two reasons. First of all, it's to make it easy for ourselves. The boat comes with that. And also that later, if we would want to resell it, or after the challenge is done, somebody would want to put a diesel in, you don't have to completely re-weld the boat. So the motor will hang in between this mount, and now I'm creating a front and a back plate which will be used to put on the mount. It's not that difficult. You go actually from the model that we just made, and you extrapolate the holes and the box in the back as you see here. And now we have two separate mounts. The access to the electricals is still okay, and it's also tilted 45 degrees so that we have the two water coolers on top that you see coming out, and then also the 3 cables for the power of the engine on the other side, and it's all accessible. And you need to be able to move it in multiple directions, because you need to fine-tune it to the shaft. It needs to be perfectly in line with the shaft, and you do that by moving it front and back, left to right, and also up and down. And in this way, we actually, with these little blocks that you saw, you have the possibility to do it by changing the height of the rubber blocks. So this is the Odyssey mount together with our motor mount, and it enables us to move it in all directions to fine-tune it. And that's really important, because when generating power from an electrical motor, you create a lot of thrust and forces on the axle, and for that you need a Sigma drive. A Sigma drive of Brunton's, you heard about it in the episode that I linked below. A Sigma drive is actually a thrust bearing and a vibration dampening system, which allows you to account for the pulling and the pushing forces of the prop on the shaft, because they're directly connected to the engines. The Sigma drive needs to be connected to the hull, so let's now look at the Sigma drive and see what we needed to do for that. So from Brunton's we got the CAD files, and a huge shout out also to Ananda and the team of Brunton's to help me with all the questions I had in creating this mount. So on this side, that's where the motor shaft goes in, and you see the middle plate there with the 4 holes. This is actually where you mount it to the hull, and here the prop shaft goes in. There's a lot of other stuff in there which I don't know, but we need to mount this middle plate onto the hull, and then it can act as a thrust bearing. Now we also need a brake. A brake is needed because when you have enough regeneration, you need to be able to stop the shaft from spinning. So Brunton is also delivering the brake disc. We haven't designed the brake system itself yet. That's something we need to do ourselves, so we're still looking into that. And then we also need a coupler on the end to connect it to our specific shaft of the motor. And we'll go into detail now on how to create that. So if you don't, for this part also we didn't have the files. So I'm starting from a 2D Autodesk drawing here, which shows the part, and you import it into Fusion, and then you need to calibrate it. So actually I'm here taking 2 lines, and there's a measurement on top, 81 millimeters. So I know that between these 2 lines it's 81 millimeters, and it actually will calibrate my drawing to be 81 between those 2 lines. Then I can overdraw again a rough sketch of what's on my initial canvas, and I add the dimensions to it like we did several times now. And from there I start creating my part again. So again I'm making a mock-up of the connector that's included in the delivery, but we still need to adjust it for the shaft. So I also take the side view and create, these comes from the motors itself. So this is the shaft length, and from there I construe the part again, and yeah, it's good enough so that we can use it for placing the motor and aligning everything. It will be slightly bit different because in the middle there will be a gap to clamp the whole thing together, and it goes then onto the Sigma drive, and from there on we're almost there. But we still need to make a mount to fix it to the hull. So here's the assembly we just made, and now I'm creating the mount to go onto the hull, so we can lock the thrust bearing in place, and the shaft will be able to put forces in both sides, in both directions, and also to reduce the vibration. I first make a clamp, fairly easy, just 2 circles with some holes in it that will be able to clamp the middle part of the thrust bearing towards the frame. which I created here. It will have 3 welded points onto the hull. It took some measuring and eyeballing with the hull itself, which you'll see in a minute. But this is kind of the whole assembly. So we also put some rubber gaskets in the middle again. So we even reduce the corrosion possibilities by encapsulating the bolts within a let's say a Delrin or a plastic tube, and then clamping them with rubber. So we also don't make a connection between the shaft and the hull again. This is the entire assembly. So let's look now how it looks in the full picture. So let's dive into the starboard engine compartment with our beautiful boat that we're building, and let's see how it will finally look. This is then the Odyssey mount that's standard in there with our mount. You also see that I made some slots that are enabled to move the motor and fine-tune it perfectly in all directions. The Sigma drive with the brake and the coupler, and you see here it's welded on the backbone of the hull, and then also with 2 parts into the bulkhead. The tube, the axle will actually transfer the bulkhead. It's not shown on the drawing here, and will enter the Sigma drive there. Easy access for the cables, etc. So I'll talk about AI, keel cooling, and all the calculations that we did about that in a future episode. But there's a lot still to be done. So I hope I earned your subscription today, and I would say feel free to like and subscribe, and over to Plucky.
Two days later, people, gonna get another pig's head. I got him just in time. There's usually about 10. Just giving the other side of the pig's head a bait. How do you like your pig's head? I like mine often. Sailing into freedom.